Hey everyone, this is Geeky Vices J-Belle, where I talk about bits of geekdom and pop culture I've been into lately. So the general vibe of my series is I am unrehearsed, unedited, unhip. I don't care what's the latest and greatest. I'll just go with wherever my interests meander to. Um, and then I also tend to be spoilers light. I might be a little bit more spoiler heavy this time around. I'm trying to not go too spoiler heavy, but you never know. So if you want to watch the content I'm talking about without any bias at all, watch my video afterwards. So, anyways, this week's topic is the Avengers Endgame. So, I've been meaning to do this video for a few weeks. I'm just waiting for the right moment, and honestly, I keep on getting sidetracked by other random interests. I'm like, ooh, shiny. So, yeah. So, anyways, I did actually see Endgame the Tuesday after it opened, so I did see it within the first week. So it's been a while, and I'm gonna be talking about Endgame. I'm also gonna be talking about the MCU in general because I found it. I had a couple of friends who one of them I think was someone into the movies, but like one of them was not at all into superhero movies, and they basically were watching all the movies leading up to it, and we were lending them out a lot of those movies, and it just kind of made me think like, okay, what movies do you really need to see before you see Endgame? So, at the very least, before you see Endgame, you should have seen Avengers Infinity War. That is the bare minimum, of, in my opinion, of what you should have seen. If we're gonna next tier up, I would say all the Avengers movies would be good to watch before Infinity Wars. Next tier up, I would say the Avengers movies, all of them, and the second and third Captain America movies, which we refer to as the Avengers point .5 movies in our apartment. So yeah, keep that. So yeah, it's like Avengers 1 point. I can't remember, but anyway, so they're in the in between movies. I can't remember if Avengers off the top I can't remember if Winter Soldier came out before the second or third Avengers. I'm very sure it came between the first and second, but yeah, it's very much the point .5s. And then after that, I would say for Endgame specifically, I would say Guardians of the Galaxy would be the next best to watch. After that, I probably would say the first ones of some of the movies get to know some of the major characters. So like first Iron Man, first Captain America. You could watch the first Thor. Honestly, the three. There's basically four movies. If someone's trying to watch all of them, that I say you can go ahead and skip, and you're fine. You can skip the first Thor. You could skip the second Thor. You could skip the third Iron Man. You can even skip with the second Iron Man, but I like the second Iron Man. And then you can skip Captain Marvel. Like you skip those, you're good. You're fine. Some other ones that I would say just on the sheer value of watching them, you should watch. I would definitely say Black Panther would definitely be like as far as like which ones I would definitely recommend are worth seeing. Black Panther. I would say Doctor Strange is up there. I would say that the Ant-Man movies you can get away with skipping. I enjoy them. Like I own the first Ant-Man, but Ant-Man and Wasp, it's like I think it does lead up well into Endgame, but I don't feel like it's necessary. And like we're not gonna get a copy of it. So if that says anything to you, but yeah. So yeah, that's my overall arcing thoughts on like which ones you can kind of get away with. I mean, but yeah, as a very minimum, watch Infinity War before you watch Endgame. Then if you gotta watch it, if you're gonna spend time watching any other ones, do all the Avengers movies. And then I would recommend also doing the second and third Captain Americas. Like if you do those, you're fine. You can get away with like not watching a lot of the other ones. Although I still think Guardians of the Galaxy is worth it because like it's just like it's so separate. But yeah, that's my overall thought process. So anyways, on to the actual movie. I really enjoyed it. Like, and I was rewatching pretty much all the movies building up to it, which was interesting. It's like I'd never watched a lot of the MCU movies back to back, so it'd be interesting how like the end of the credits scene would then be basically reenacted in the following movie. So that was kind of like an interesting trippy thing for me because I never really realized that before. But yeah, no, it was good. I liked some of the directions it went. And as I said, I warn people, This is where I'm gonna get spoilery, but I'm trying to be spoilery light. One thing I found very interesting is how everyone I think going in assumed that it was gonna be the whole movie is gonna be trying to get to Thanos and figuring out how to kill Thanos, and they kind of totally flipped that on the head with the very beginning, where it's like, nope, we found Thanos, nope, we killed Thanos, and then it's like 5 years later, it's the aftermath, like, yeah, still everyone's still gone, like just because we killed him didn't solve everything. So it was definitely, that regard was pretty interesting. I liked what happened with a lot of the characters. I think I really, especially like the Hulk, what happened. Iron Man, it was interesting, like his storyline about what his life is at that point, and I'm glad it worked out with him and Pepper, because like I know they'd be kind of on again and off again between some of the movies, like when Gwyneth Paltrow wasn't there. Um, yeah, and then it makes sense to me that Black Widow is kind of like the one like kind of hunkering down and being the base of operations. And as we see things go along, we see why some of the characters that survived were chosen. Like, we definitely find out why Nebula is still around. There's definitely a very strategic reason for that. And as a lot of fans guessed, why Captain Marvel and Ant-Man had to be around, like why those movies had to happen in between, it's like, it makes sense. Like, yep, Captain Marvel did bring Iron Man back to the fold, which wasn't gonna happen. It was interesting the video he was making. Like I do find that was a nice little touch, like the video he made about it, like when he was expecting to make it, and then sorry, Rocket definitely makes for an interesting dynamic with his, especially with Thor, like his chemistry. So yeah, that makes for an interesting one. And then yeah, Ant-Man. I wasn't expecting only an hour to have passed for him. Like that was actually pretty cool. And although the part of me that's kind of sad is like, oh, if they do any more Ant-Man stuff, they're not going to show the cute little girl being his daughter anymore because 5 years have passed. But yeah, I'm glad his family survived. I definitely felt for Hawkeye when his family, although you could tell it was coming. You could feel it was coming. And yeah, it makes sense for what he was doing. Like, I don't blame him for going all, like, they didn't actually use the name, but like, I have Marvel Puzzle Quest, so like I know, like sometimes I find out the names of characters or find out things about characters I wouldn't have known otherwise, because I'm not a comic book nerd. I am watched the animated series in the 90s, and I watched the movies. That is my level of my type of comic book nerdum. So, and occasionally I'll watch some other ones. Like I really do need to rewatch whenever we even finish watching the second season of Avengers Mightiest Heroes, but I do need to watch more of that. Like that is like one of the best Avengers, definitely the best presentation of the Avengers I've seen. But yeah, it's also like a really good, and I love the theme songs for that. But anyways, I digress. Back on topic. So yeah, it was definitely interesting. The whole time stuff worked out interesting, and we gotta have some really cool moments because of that. And I will say, like, one thing I always find interesting with what they do with Scott Lang is, like, Scott Lang is not a dumb guy. I mean, he is a mechanical engineer, so, like, by regular people, but it's like he's among some of these super geniuses. And I feel like he was kind of fulfilling the Spider-Man role in some ways, because, like, both of them be like, oh, yeah, there was this movie. Like, they were both doing that. Although it was great when him and War Machine were talking about how time travel worked and how they were talking about Back to the Future and such. But yeah, it was interesting, and yeah, I know someone pointed out to me, like, the thing about Tony's daughters, like the I Love You 3000. I think that's supposed to be apparently all the MCU movies put together, like, equal 3,000 minutes, is what someone told me. I don't know if that's true or not, but that was something I've heard word of mouth. So if someone wants to verify that, great. I'm not gonna spend the energy, so I'll trust one of you guys to do it. But yeah, so one of the things I will say, like, the big fight scene at the end was definitely appropriately epic. Like, it's what you want for some of these things. And I guess, sorry, backtrack. I'll get back to the fight scene, but I remember there's more of the time. Like, it was cool watching Captain America fight Captain America. It was cool having Stoney have a little extra time with his dad, and that there was the implied thing that, like, I know a lot of people were hoping that Loki's still around. It's still ambiguous. Sorry, spoiler. It's ambiguous. But I do like how, like, he did have his moment, and that they had to try getting all the items again. And I do like how Black Widow was the one who figured out that, like, hey, New York, everyone was, or a bunch of the Infinity Stones were in New York in the same year at the same time. So that part was pretty cool. I will say one little thing from after watching Captain Marvel. Where was Goose in all this? Is Goose? I'm kind of curious. Like, is Goose still around? Because like it could have been really good having a Flurkin, or how, you know what I mean, or like who's watching after the Flurkin all this time. But anyways, that's just a little side tangent. But yeah, so that's like there's some really cool moments. I did find the one with Thor unnecessary, probably because I don't remember Thor 2 that well, so I don't remember too much about his mom or anything, and I felt like it's kind of unnecessary and gratuitous having Natalie Portman there for like 5 seconds. But yeah, although I did love how I did love how Thor is like totally like a total loser now. Although one thing that bothered me is like they made a big deal at the end about how Valkyrie was the one that was like leading everyone. We didn't actually see what she was doing, and that's still one of the things that bothered me with the beginning of Infinity War, is it jumped straight from Thor Ragnarok to Infinity War without any bit of transition. And the thing is, like, I was very confused. Like, wait, where are these people? Like, I had no idea where Valkyrie was during that transition. I had no idea where the two guy, the one alien guy. I can't remember his name, but he's the one. He's voiced by like one of the directors, like the one who's always hanging out with Thor. Now that Thor rescued from the game planet. So, anyways, those are all just little side tangents. But yeah, like there were really cool moments. The big fight was appropriately epic. I will say that the moment when the Soul Infinity Stone was gathered, it was you really didn't know who was going to get sacrificed for that. So that one was a really tough scene to watch, but like it makes sense on a cerebral level, like why they chose who they chose. Although I feel like at the end when they were remembering people, I feel like that person should have been remembered as much as a certain other character. But yeah, also the big fight was appropriately epic, and I'm glad they finally had paid off. Where there was that scene in the second Avengers where Captain America could wiggle Mjolnir a little bit, and Thor noticed it, and he was able to actually use Mjolnir, and Thor was like, I knew it! And so it was great watching Mjolnir and Stormbreaker being used and like tossed back and forth between them, and that was so appropriately epic. And the spouse was, sorry, I will admit, the significant other is my spouse. I just usually am used to calling him significant other. So yeah, if you guys catch this one time, great. If not, I'm going to try keeping calling him the significant other. Anyways, he was totally fanboying when Pepper Potts showed up in the fight and was fighting with Tony and the big epic fight. So yeah, that was really cool. Yeah, it was really great having everyone appear and help, and how all of Wakanda showed up, and it was just, and even though it was kind of forced, it was still kind of awesome, that moment where there was basically all the girls working together. That was so gratifying and awesome and badass. And yeah, even though realistically it's no, they would not have all been positioned perfectly for it to be just an all girl fleet of people all at once, but it was very cool. So yeah, it was appropriately epic. And Thanos was appropriately badass to kill even both times. And yeah, it was great when Tony was asking Doctor Strange of is this the one way? And it's yeah. And then yeah. So the thing I'm not gonna reveal is which major characters die from this. I will say that I had a total prediction about in Infinity War a certain character was gonna die. They didn't die in that one, but they did die in Endgame. So that was, and so yeah, I feel like they did a appropriate farewell to some of the characters who have been around the longest. And when we saw the memorial, the significant other both being wait, who's that guy? And then we're oh wait, it's from the one movie that we've seen once and we forgot about. So yeah, there was this one kid at the funeral, and I'm glad. And then I'm glad how it's resolved with when they are putting the Infinity Stones back, and who goes back and what they do with the time that they go back. So that makes me very happy, because that was one of those characters I'm oh, you're always doomed, and I really wanted you to be with the person you love. And so I'm glad that worked out. So yeah, it was very satisfying. It's appropriately epic, and you don't know. Part of me is wondering I don't know which one of the characters are still going to be around for future things. And as and there were some relationships that were fully doomed. Like, so like there was this major sacrifice for getting the Soul Stone. Like, so that doomed one of the relationships I adored, and then there was someone I was hoping was going to come back when they undid the snapshot, but but it was someone who died right before the snapshot in the third one. So it's not, so it makes sense, but I was hoping that it was like, oh, they couldn't have been kind of piggybacked in because they were just there right beforehand. And also the fact that, sorry, my brain. Yeah, it's like the fact that it's like, also it's like, come on, you guys were working so hard to protect that person. Like, there should have been like everything together to like bring them back, hopefully. So I still have hope that that one character is gonna come back. Because as I said, that's another doomed relationship. I'm like, no, I'm a romantic. I like relationships to work out, but yeah, no, it was great. It was appropriately epic. It didn't feel like it was too long. Like, it was very satisfying. I will say the one thing I mean, certain other characters like romances, I'm like, oh, that's kind of screwed up by the change in timelines. But I will say for the next Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm kind of like, I feel like there's a major cast change. I'm like, I'm kind of not sure how I feel about it, because like I feel like it alters the dynamic so much, and I'm kind of like on Star-Lord, so I was like, oh, you don't deserve to be picked on as much as you do. Also, I feel like Star-Lord should actually spend some time on Earth, since he's finally on Earth for the first time in forever. It's like, enjoy the fact that you're back on Earth. You know, get some new music. Catch up a little bit what's happened on Earth since you've been gone. I mean, I know it sucks that it's Earth without your mom, but still, it's like, you're finally here. Like, at least spend a week there. You know, Rocket spent more time on Earth than you have. So yeah, that says something. So yeah, it was really good. Like, I know I mean vague, and I keep on just saying it's good, but hey, it's also been several weeks since I saw the movie. But yeah, I think it did things how I think it was. I'm really happy with how things were wrapped up, and I didn't have the same fault with it that I did with Infinity War, because the Infinity War, my biggest complaint was that first scene, because like it was just too, it was so abrupt, and it's like there were some things where I'm like, wait, where did this person go? What gone? There's certain characters I'm like, no, they're not gone for real, are they? But yeah, some characters are gone for good, but I think we all knew that was going to be happening, especially with this many movies and how long some people have been around. So, but it's also I'm kind of also happy with who some of the successors are. So yeah, those are my overall thoughts. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys have either watched Endgame or are going to watch Endgame and enjoy it as much as I have. But yeah, that's it for this week. Talk to you guys later. Bye. But let's see stuff.